Let's take a look at some basic unit conversions. So as we can see, we have facts in the conversion table. 1 quart equals 4 cups. And that can be written either as 1 quart over 4 cups or 4 cups over 1 quart. Since these quantities are equal, this is actually a form of 1. And given that it's a form of 1, we can multiply by this or this one without changing the value of what we start with. So let's take a look. Convert 3 quarts to cups. So what you start with, you want to go and write it on the left. QT is a nice notation for quarts, an abbreviation. And you put that over 1. And then we're going to multiply by a form of 1. Now what form of 1 do we need depends on our table. Let's take a look at our table. Quarts to cups. So here we have, I don't know why that's not, there we go. 1 quart equals 4 cups. That's the one we're going to use. That is just a little big for this process. That'll be a little better. Perfect. So 1 quart equals 4 cups. Now, here's the thing. If you mess up the order, so for example, if we tried this one, 1 quart on top, 4 cups on bottom, then the quart times quart, we would get square quarts divided by cups, which makes no sense. So you do have to have your form of 1 in the appropriate relationship. So if we have it this way, now we can see that the quarts unit reduces. And what we have is the 3 times 4, which is 12, over 1, we don't need the over 1, cups. And this is the basics of unit conversion. Convert 16 cups into quarts. 16 cups over 1, multiply by. This time, since we're starting with cups on the top, we need to have cups on the bottom so that they will reduce. That gets us the 4 cups on the bottom and 1 quart on the top version. So here we can see we're using both of these versions. Depending on what we start with, we do the reciprocal. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 4 quarts. And that's it. So it's very important to have the units correct so that they reduce. Here we have the distance between 2 cities is 454 miles. All right, let's take a look here. So we're trying to go from miles to kilometers. And we do have this one that goes from miles to kilometers that we'll use. So we have 0.621. We start with 454 miles. Put that over 1. And now I know I need the miles on the bottom of my form of 1 so that the miles will reduce. And that is 0.621 miles is 1 kilometer. And there we go with our units. And now this problem is a little bit more complicated in our heads, so we don't do it in our heads. 454 divided by 0.621. And this one, the instructions say round to the nearest kilometer. So this would be 731.07, 731. So this is approximately 731, and our only unit left over is kilometers. Excellent. A friend is 6 feet 3 inches tall. How tall is this in centimeters? So we do have an inch to centimeters, but we don't have a centimeters to feet. So it would be nice if we had inches everywhere. So with that in mind, we can start with our 6 feet, put it over 1, and 1 foot on the bottom, so our feet reduce, is 12 inches. And if we multiply that together, 6 times 12 is 72 inches. All right, so therefore, 6 feet 3 inches is 72 inches plus the 3 inches. That's 75 inches. Now that we know how tall your friend is in inches, we can convert those inches, putting over 1 with so many inches on the bottom. And now let's go back to our table. Where is it? There it is. 2.54 centimeters, 1 inch. So we have 1 inch on the bottom and 2.54 centimeters on top. The inches reduce. Calculator says 75 times 2.54, 190.5. And the unit's centimeters. Okay, go ahead and pause the video as you work the problems out on the right. What you should get is 32 ounces, 2,430 milligrams, 96 inches, 3 miles, and 134.62 centimeters. With the instructions that do not say round, try not to round at all. And let's take a look at this problem. So that your work should have had 53 times 2.54. And you can see there's no rounding at all. So don't round unless requested or if you're dealing with things like money. More on that later.